In the village of Abugaga, nestled among the rolling hills of the African savanna, there lived a king named Gogman. He was a proud ruler with a majestic mane of black hair and a booming voice that commanded respect from all who knew him. But behind his regal facade lay a flaw that would ultimately bring about his downfall: pride. King Gogman believed he knew everything there was to know. He dismissed the advice of his advisors, ignored the wisdom of the elders, and ruled his kingdom with an iron fist, convinced that his way was the only way. But his arrogance blinded him to the needs of his people and the warnings of nature itself. One day, a great flood swept through the land, brought on by heavy rains that had been falling for weeks. The river that flowed through Abugaga overflowed its banks, engulfing homes, fields, and even the palace of King Gogman. Despite the frantic warnings of his subjects, the king refused to evacuate, believing that his palace was impervious to the rising waters. But nature cares not for the pride of man, and soon the flood waters breached the palace walls, inundating every chamber with mud and debris. King Gogman was forced to flee for his life, his once majestic robes now sodden and tattered as he waded through the swirling currents. As the flood waters receded, leaving behind a devastated landscape, King Gogman surveyed the ruins of his kingdom. His palace was in ruins, his crops destroyed, and his subjects left homeless and hungry. For the first time in his life, the king felt a pang of humility gnaw at his heart. With nowhere else to turn, King Gogman sought out the wise old sage who lived on the outskirts of the village. The sage, who had long been ignored by the proud ruler, welcomed him with open arms, offering him food and shelter in his humble abode. For days, King Gogman listened as the sage imparted his wisdom, teaching him the importance of humility, compassion, and the interconnectedness of all living things. Slowly but surely, the king began to understand the error of his ways, and a newfound sense of humility took root in his heart. Determined to make amends for his past mistakes, King Gogman set about rebuilding his kingdom, this time with the guidance of the wise sage and the support of his loyal subjects. He listened to their concerns, heeded their advice, and worked tirelessly to restore prosperity to Abugaga. Years passed, and under King Gogman's enlightened rule, Abugaga flourished once more. The king's pride had been humbled by the flood, but in its place had grown a deep sense of humility and empathy for his people. And so, the tale of King Gogman serves as a reminder that true wisdom lies not in the accumulation of knowledge, but in the willingness to listen, learn, and grow from our experiences, no matter how humbling they may be.